Well, hello, everybody. I think I can still say Happy New Year. This is Mark Comfort, and
Kim North.
we're the ones in red because we just went to the Chiefs game last night and helped our Chiefs beat those dreaded Pittsburgh Steelers and continue on in the playoff run. And with us, I don't see Robin's face, but I know she's in the background. Robin Piper, our Avalon Waterways representative and Globus Family of Brands. Robin, welcome to our webinar Monday. Okay, well, maybe it's just going to be Kim and me for a while. Who knows? Okay, the whole purpose of this today is I've got 5 different hosted groups from our company, Cruise Holidays Kansas City and Comfort Tours, that we want to go over with you. There is no doubt about it that hosted groups is going to be very, very, very popular, not only this year in 2022, but next year, 2023, and probably in the very near future. People are just feeling much more comfortable being with a group of people, being with a host that they know can help if there is any reason for that. And it's happened. I've been on, gosh, probably 5, maybe 6 international vacations hosted by myself and or my wife Mimi and I in the last 6 months, and in every case it gave the anxious, the people who are worried, and almost everybody's a little bit anxious right now, a little bit worried right now, some are even fearful, and it gives you all the confidence and the comfort, excuse that choice of words, to go on an international vacation. The first one we've got coming up is in, well, I've got a big group going to Egypt in February, and then right after that we have Kim North, who will be hosting her favorite destination anywhere in the world, the Tulip Time cruise over in the Belgium and Amsterdam, Netherlands area. Kim, you've been on this itinerary how many times?
I have been to the Netherlands. This will be my 4th time. This will be my 2nd time.
Anything that's got to do with tulips in it, right? You want to go to.
Right. It's one of my favorite little corners of the world. I mean, every time I go someplace new, I feel like it becomes my favorite, but this itinerary has a special place in my heart. It was my first trip over to Europe. So going back again and now taking some of our valued clients is going to be really special.
Well, I think it absolutely will. And, you know, this is something fascinating. All the travel I've done, I haven't done this. And Kim, you're the expert. You're truly the expert on this Tulip Time. And this is also an interesting time of the year. We'll be skirting the area around the Floriad, which happens once every 10 years over there. So that makes it special. But I remember all the pictures you have sent to us at Cruise Holidays on our Facebook page, on our website. Mimi said the same thing, that pictures just don't do justice of the incredible beauty of the tulips, right?
Oh my gosh, not even close. The way that they plant them and the different designs, it's kind of like a full picture thing. And if you take one little snapshot, you don't really get to take it all in. It's a unique experience that I'm really, really excited for.
And then Kim, on top of that, for history people like me, there's, you told me, because I don't know Belgium very well. I know a lot of the areas around it, but I don't know Belgium that well. But there's so much history and scenery as well. But history, there's so much history there, old and new, correct?
Right. So in certain parts, mostly in the Netherlands, you get to learn the history of the millers and how important windmills and water control is, just because they sit so far below sea level. And then there's World War II history. There's obviously the history of chocolate, the Belgian chocolates that everybody loves so much. So there's a lot for a lot of people. So I think it'll appeal to just about everybody.
So the chocolates is also a culinary experience, isn't it? So we can say this is a great part of the world for the culinary portion. You're going in April. April's a great time for this, isn't it, over there?
It is. It's peak blooming season for the flowers. So if you are a gardener, it's a great time to go. And weather is, I mean, they're just as fickle as we are here in the Midwest. So it could be sunny and 70, and it could be a little rainy and maybe 40s, 50s. But that's the beauty of traveling. You get to roll with the punches and experience some beautiful places.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to go through this itinerary because we really have less than a half an hour to go over that. Robin, are you on? Did we get you back on?
I am. Thank you.
There we go. There's Robin Piper with Avalon. So we'll go right down through this. Let's see, what do I need to do to get this going? I'll be darned. So, Nicole, help me get this going. Let's just see. Hey, Kim, as I'm
Mark, if you just click on it, it'll go to the next one.
there we go. It's that easy. I just had to get my face off there.
There
So,
it goes.
Robin, let me ask you, since Robin, you just got on, can you talk about this itinerary starting in Brussels and ending up in Amsterdam? What we can talk about, maybe let's talk about Brussels first and the starting place. Robin, go ahead.
I'm very excited because I actually am going to be doing a different tulip time. I'll be coming in when Kim and her group are leaving. So of course, with Brussels, you guys are going to do, are you doing an extra night in Brussels or in Amsterdam? Brussels?
One night free in Brussels.
Wonderful. And you know, that's the great part about traveling with Kim. She knows what's going to be, you know, what a pressure point is. And for some people, it's just getting there and making sure you're there on time and enjoying a pre-day or pre-night rather. So that's fantastic. When you get on board our vessels, there really is so much going on, but you can actually check your luggage and then, you know, eat lunch on board the ship. You can go out and explore if you want to. Until we get ready to depart. So it's really, I think the first day is one of my favorite days because there's so much anticipation and we've made some changes to the things that we're doing on board to make it even more streamlined. So that's exciting.
Kim, have you been to Brussels, Kim?
I have. I actually went, like I said, the first time I ever went to Europe, I flew straight into Brussels and spent about 4 days, I think, before I departed for my Avalon cruise. So I mean, it's been a couple years, but I feel like I'm pretty familiar with the area and what sites to see, and I'm hoping to put together some special treats for our clients.
Treat, special adjective, remember that one. Kim, I remember you telling me that next stop there in Ghent was kind of a highlight from a historical point. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a really cool castle in Ghent. When we stopped in Ghent, we opted to go off on our own and explore that castle, which was pretty rich in history. Another thing that I really like about Ghent through Avalon is you have the ability to purchase an excursion to go over to Bruges. And Bruges, Belgium is kind of considered the Venice of Belgium. It is this cute, quaint, Gothic city. And for anybody who might be into religion or religious history, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is an artifact in the church in Bruges that is linked to Jesus Christ himself, or so they say.
Well, I know you were impressed in the group you took, just love Bruges too. So there's so much in this area. Those other two towns just below on the map, I can't even pronounce them. Is it Ypres and Beausuit?
Your guess is as good as mine. Those are actually two places I haven't been before, so I'm really excited. It sounds like there's a lot of World War II history. We'll get to go to a museum and learn about, I guess, a very important battle that took place there. So stay tuned for more because I'll be learning with the rest of you.
And Mark, if you go on down through that slideshow, there's actually some pictures that Kim took herself in those first few ports.
Well, let's just do that. Let's just go. How about, oh, Robin, you talk about the ship we're on. Everybody's going to love this ship.
Absolutely. The Imagery 2 is one of my favorite vessels. And I say that sort of jokingly because we have two styles of vessels. We have the Imagery 2, and then we have one that is slightly smaller than the Imagery 2 style of travel. And really, when you get on board, it is meant to be your home away from home. It is meant to be comfortable and beautiful and all those things you want, but it's also just a relaxing way to see this part of Europe. And so we have, of course, our panoramic suites that some people might already be booked in, but I want you to take a look at the vessel you're seeing in front of you here. All the glass, those are the panoramic view staterooms. And then we also have, whether you're in a lounge or whether you're on the top deck, beautiful views 360. So our dining room is full of glass, it's all glass windows. Our panoramic lounge is the same way. So no matter where you are on the ship, you're going to just be steps away from a beautiful view. And that is something that you should really be excited about.
Yeah, and Robin, let me just also say the photograph of the ship dock there. Look at that, it's right in the heart of the city. So you can get right off and you're in the heart of the city. That's one of the things that people like best about river cruising, especially in Europe, is that they're small, 150 people or less maybe, and you dock right in the heart of the city, and it's an all-inclusive experience. So I can promise you this, as Kim knows, as Robin knows, as I know, you will be very happy with the ship and the river cruise experience that Avalon has and that Kim has selected to do this hosted trip on. The other thing I want you who have not river cruised to know, there's like a 97% satisfaction rate from the guests that cruise on all river cruise lines. And Avalon leads they're one of the very highest in satisfaction rates, even at 97+%. That's amazing. So your experience, based on all the thousands of people we and Robin know that have gone on river cruises, you're going to love the experience. Robin, you want to talk about that room? That is a beautiful picture right there.
Yes, this is one of our signature award-winning panoramic suites. And you can see the wall of windows. That is actually an 11 feet wide, 7 feet tall, floor to ceiling, open air balcony that you can actually open up 3/4 of the way. So we've got a seating there, a love seat, a chair. We do include complimentary continental breakfast in your stateroom now, which is great. But even if you wanted to, maybe this appeals to Mark, I know Mark, if you found a great bottle of wine in town and you wanted to bring it in, you do have a refrigerator, mini fridge in your stateroom. You can ask the staff to clear out everything else if you want to put your bottle of wine there. The great part about it is you have space. If you made a friend and you guys want to, have a drink with another couple before dinner or whatever the case may be. But all the touches on our ships are there for a reason. For example, our beds face the view. There's plenty of storage underneath your bed for your luggage. We have a pillow menu. We even have a mattress topper menu. So if you like it, a soft bed and your traveling companion wants it not to be as soft, we can accommodate that as well. And those great little chairs in front of the bar, you'll love those because we have happy hour every day, and we do include wine and beer and soda with lunch and dinner.
Well, the windows in the rooms, I love how you got the mirror on the wall too. It makes that room just seem so much bigger than it already is. And it's already bigger than almost all other standard rooms on any river cruise ship. Oh, there we go, Brussels. Everybody, forgive me, because I just love history, and I look at buildings like this that they don't make in the United States, and I look at all the people and the colors and the flowers and everything. I think, gosh, Europeans know how to relax. They know how to enjoy life, and the history, of course, is there that is just mind-boggling to you and I that things can be that old and that well preserved. So much. Anything to say, either one of you two, Kim? Anything about Brussels that we haven't already said?
I don't think so.
Well, I will say, I wanted to say one quick thing, and I'm sure that Kim, I know she's a fan of this. We include an awful lot of shore excursions. Now, Bruges is one that you can purchase because not everybody wants to do it, but we do have a lovely set of included excursions that are categorized by the activity level. So, or I shouldn't say just activity level. We have active, so that might be hiking or biking or, doing something like that. We have our discovery, which are more hands-on experiences. Like on this one, you could go to a do-it-yourself chocolate workshop and of course taste a little bit as you go. And then we also have our classic. That's going to be, like Mark said, the history, why that building is the way it is, who did what, the aquaculture farm, all those things, they are going to be included. So I think that's a great feature to point out to folks.
Absolutely. Hey, who is that world traveler on, as I'm looking on the right-hand side of the screen, Kim?
I was a much more tan version of myself.
And by the way, so that's a good example, though, at that time of the year, like you just said earlier, we'll recommend you to dress in layers and be prepared for whatever might come about, because what do they say? April showers bring May flowers.
That is very accurate in that corner of the world.
Kim, where is this?
That I'm not entirely sure. It looks like it's probably in the countryside of Belgium. My guess is somewhere close to Bruges. I have not been there. That is not my photo, but it's beautiful. The countryside itself is stunning.
Yeah, I think one of the things you told me, there's lots of, in France they call them chateaus, but there's a lot of big palaces or mansions or places like this, especially in the countryside, that they're just shocking to find, that are maybe 600, 800, 1,000 years old. I just think that part is wonderful. Boy, look at that. Middleburg, holy cow, what a building that is. Anybody?
Yeah, so that picture on the left is the town hall for Middleburg. And what's really kind of unique about Middleburg is that it is actually part of the East Dutch India Trading Company. I think I got that right. So you get to learn a lot about the history of this merchant town and how it came to be and how wealthy it used to be back in the day. And I think it's so fascinating to see those old buildings, and they tell you the history of why the windows are painted the way they are, and everything about this little town. You've never heard of it before, but it's something that you'll never forget. It's very unique, and I love the history there.
By the way, according to our brochure, that is a building that is 15th century, and of course, it is Gothic style. Now, the one thing, Robin, you can talk about this, because there are, like you said just a minute ago, all sorts of tours that are offered at every port, and they are included. About 99% of them are included, but people have their choice, right, of what they want to do, which kind of tour they want to do, wherever it is that you stop, correct?
Absolutely. And this might be a really good time to talk about the Avalon Go app, because while we do have programming, you can always go with one of our tour directors or local guides that will take you out and about to explore, but maybe you're somebody who just likes to, check out new places. So with the Avalon Go app, you can download that before you depart. It's available for you 30 days out. So we're getting really close. And because it's Wi-Fi enabled, you don't actually have to be on Wi-Fi to utilize it, which is great. And it doesn't use up your data. Now you're thinking, what exactly are you doing? Well, you actually have a copy of your electronic documents in that app, so it'll be programmed to you specifically. And then you actually have some things on there, like you can click on dining suggestions, maybe some more sightseeing, maybe a particular kind of shop. You can get all that information on your app. And what I love about it is it'll also give you step-by-step instructions of how to get there and even get back to your ship. So I love it. And especially remember, I know some of these photographs are yours, Kim. If you take a lot of pictures, but you don't have a very good memory like I do, it allows you actually to caption the photos as you take them. So then you know, okay, this was this. So I highly recommend using our app. It's complimentary and it's really a great tool.
It's such a great tool, and we'll help you with that if you need any help on that. But Robin, I've used your app a lot, and it's great. Holy cow! Anybody, Kim, you want to talk about this? Woo!
So this is in Veer, and it's a partial day tour. They basically take you here. You get to tour the facility and learn about how this works. It's basically a big delta or dam that controls the water coming in and out from the North Sea. And again, that just goes back to the history of the Dutch and how they are masters when it comes to water level controls, because honestly, their lives depended on it back in the day. If it flooded at all, a lot of the Netherlands is below sea level. So they are engineering masterminds when it comes to this. And this delta in particular, we get to learn a lot of the history of that.
This talks about it. It says that you can join a guided tour of the Delta Works, the largest flood protection system in the world, and a miracle of modern technology. I mean, that's the kind of stuff, I don't know, personally, I think is absolutely spectacular. Uh-oh, this is what people are looking for. Kim, how about talking about this one?
So Kinderdijk is it's a very small village, and I think there's only 7 or 8 windmills in the entire village that are still fully functional and operated by real working millers. So when you go to Kinderdijk, they take you through the town. You get to go inside the windmills. They teach you again about the history, how important it is to the Dutch to maintain water levels. And if I remember correctly, I think they tell you about all the schooling and what's required to even become a miller. So it was all really interesting because, you know, being an American, we don't have those here in the United States. And seeing them, I just thought they were always pretty. I didn't realize how important they actually were to the Dutch in their history.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, and it's historic all at one time. There's a great example of some of the tulip places you'll see. And Kim, you actually, are some of these your pictures, did you tell me?
All of those are, yeah.
All of these are your pictures. Wow. So that's real life. And you say the pictures don't do justice to how vibrant they are.
Oh my gosh, no. Not even close.
Rotterdam. Okay, now we're getting into the Netherlands. Have you been there, Kim?
So when I was in Rotterdam the first time, we took our excursion to Kukenhof that day. So I have never been to Rotterdam City. I've only driven through it. So this will be a new city for me, and I'm really excited to just experience it and learn about it. We did a quick little drive-by history session when we did our tour, but I'll be really excited to kind of dive in depth and learn more about it because it's a big metropolis, but I think it also has that small town charm if you go to the old town area. So I'm really excited to see the old and the new.
You know, and being a longtime person in the ocean cruise industry, many of you might know that name Rotterdam, according to some of the Holland America ships. So a lot of Holland America's ocean cruise ships are named after cities in the Netherlands. Harlem, this is sure not what we think of Harlem, is it?
It is not. I think it's a suburb of Amsterdam or very close to Amsterdam. And from here, I believe this is where we take our Kukenhof excursion. That is a paid tour, but I will tell you hands down, it is probably one of the best paid excursions that you could treat yourself to. Over on the right-hand side, that windmill was actually gifted to Kukenhof by Holland America. I saw a little placard on it, which was really interesting. But yeah, that's probably the city I'm most looking forward to, just to go to the gardens.
That's so cool. Robin, that area over there is known for their canals, and it's just so quaint, isn't it? Just so incredibly quaint.
It really is. And, you know, you have to think our ships, like you said, about 150 total, you know, for both of our ships. And the nice part about it is that you're not all embarking on, you know, there's not multiple, you know, people all embarking, so it's no longer quaint. There's more than enough space for everybody to join in and go around. And we love that part of our sailings, because you do find something that, you know, maybe you have never even had heard of before, but it's so wonderful. And speaking, Kim, I don't know if you did this when you went to Kukenhof. Did you purchase any bulbs and have them sent to you?
I did. So the first time I went, and our guide is always so gracious to say, you know, go to this little merchant and they have the best deal. But I bought a bunch of bulbs, and the merchant that we bought them through shipped them to my house from the Netherlands at the time that it was appropriate to plant them based on where I lived and what our climate zone is. So it was really unique, and I mean, they still pop up in the front yard every year, so it's a nice reminder of where you've been, and you get to take a little bit of Netherlands home with you.
I think that is such a neat thing. I cannot wait to do that.
Everybody loves this picture of Amsterdam, the city of bikes, the city of canals, the city of flowers. And I think this is a great itinerary where it ends up in this very, very famous, very spectacular history. The feel of Amsterdam is maybe one of the most unique feels or experiences you'll ever have in any European city. So I'm a big believer that I know river cruises are they're already winning the customers' vacation decisions. You know, a lot of the big ship cruisers are saying right now they're going to try river cruising, you know, with a small number of people on it, the more intimate feel. You know, once we get to these ports, many times at 150 or even less than that, this past year, the European Union and the WHO would only let 100 people on river cruise ships. So, and by the way, Robin, let me address this. Isn't this a great time to be traveling? Because there are many hundreds of thousands of fewer people traveling, and that makes the whole experience, I think, even better for us.
It is, I love our ships because they're so intimate, but at this point in time, they might be more intimate than you even believe they could be. But our staff, they're all fully vaccinated. They're all boosted. Everybody is taken care of from top to bottom with regard to any concerns you might have. You do need to be vaccinated before traveling with us. And I know Kim has probably covered that with everyone, but we have enough space to spread out at dinner, where it's not so, all consuming that you always feel like this is going on. We do ask that you mask as you're walking down like the hallways, because you're just a little closer than we should be. But when you're out and about, there are a lot of opportunities where you'll be far enough apart that you won't have to wear a mask the whole time. So that's nice too. One of the things I love best about this time frame and helping people is that if you were to do this on your own, not a river cruise per se, but just travel on your own, and something is closed for a certain reason, how do you figure out what you're going to do next? With us and with Kim and this sailing, from time to time, something might have to change their hours. We will, a certain shop that we were going to take you, or a certain restaurant. It's okay, because we have all the connections that we've had over the last 90 years of being in business, that we know what we can do to help you get the similar experience, or sometimes even a better experience. So keep that in mind. We're here to help you.
Yeah, Robin, that's such a good point, because these are changing and challenging times, no doubt about it. And like I said earlier, we understand our business is to help you, our guests, not to be anxious, not to be worrisome, not to be fearful, and to take advantage of the deals that are out there. Airfare is really good. And take advantage of this opportunity. You'll be so glad you did. Kim, can I ask you, are there still spaces available? Obviously, that's why we're doing this on this trip.
There are. So, yeah, looking at the inventory, it looks like there are probably 15 to 20 cabins left, and then obviously once that's gone, it's gone. But we do have a very special promotion exclusive to our agency that provides a complimentary free upgrade to the best available cabin, excluding the suites. Of course, there's only 2 of those. But basically, with the category P, which is the best cabin you can have outside of those suites, our agency savings is about $1,400 per person over the current rate through Avalon, if you were to look at booking with them direct, which is a huge savings. And our pricing also includes 1 night in Brussels before the trip, complimentary prepaid gratuities, as well as travel insurance, which I think is probably the most important thing to have right now when you're traveling.
Yes, and that's the other thing. I'll tell you, Kim and our staff will help you navigate through all the policies. We'll make sure you're up to date on everything that is needed for this vacation. We'll make sure you know everything from what to wear to the electric currents over there, whether you need to bring an adapter converter or whatever, all these things that you need to know. But most importantly is these policies that are ever changing, and Kim will be there to help you. We'll go over this before you go, but I just know this is a vacation. If you're into tulips, if you're into history, if you're into that part of the world, there's so much to see on this, and it's my strongest recommendation to make a decision as quickly as possible, because we are seeing the Omicron variant at its peak right now, everything I'm reading, and I think we'll be seeing it go down very, very, very rapidly. And as that happens, we all expect for the vacation business to go up considerably when the American consumer and the masses feel even more like things will be safe. So take advantage of things right now. There's that cancel for any reason insurance that will protect you if need be. If the cruise were not to go for whatever reason, Avalon does such a fabulous job. They're owned by Globus family of brands of taking care of you for refunds or future vacation credits. So Kim, what does it take if people want to find out more about this? What do they need to do? Just get a hold of you. Give everybody your contact information, if you would, please.
Yeah, so you can actually see the flyer for this group as well as any of the other hosted groups on our website. If you go to www.cruiseholidayskc.com/groups, you can click on the little picture that has my face on it that you saw at the beginning of this slideshow, and it'll take you to a full detailed day-by-day flyer. If you have questions about that or want to inquire about pricing and what's available, you can call us. My phone number is 816-741-7417, or you could call 816-505-1500. You could also email me. That's a great way to get in touch, just because oftentimes we are on hold answering questions for our other travelers. And my email is the letter K and my last name North, North, like the direction, at cruiseholidayskc.com. knorth@cruiseholidayskc.com.
Or give us a call at 816-505-1500, 505-1500. If you want an emailed copy of this flyer on the trip, we can get that for you too. And we will send you all a link who have registered. You're welcome to forward that on to friends or family that you might want to invite with you. But Robin, thank you so much for your time. I just know that 2022 is going to be a great, great year. And I think starting in April is a good time to for people to get a well-deserved vacation, don't you think?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think we should. Everybody should be taking a vacation and planning one in the near future. So thank you so much for all that you do, and you're going to be in great hands with Kim on this trip.
Kim's just fabulous, and she knows this area better than anybody in our company. So Kim, thanks for joining me on this seminar. I appreciate it, or on this webinar. Take care of yourself, everybody. We're going to go on to our next webinar in just a second, which will be my birthday bash. I'm going to go on birthday. Kim, thanks so much. Robin, thanks so much.
Mark, if you just keep clicking down, they're all in order. So scroll down a little bit.
They're all in order. You did such a good job.
There
here.
you go, right there. So
Whoa.
you don't ever have to click out of your presentation today.
Oh, this is so much fun. Well, guess who's having a birthday, everybody? I am having a birthday, and I'm inviting you to join me. My birthday, it's the big one with the 0 on the end of it, and this is going to be May 30th is the birthday, so you can come in any length of time before or after. Just be sure to be with me at this incredible property called the Miraval Distinct, my favorite all-inclusive resort anywhere in the world. It's in not just Puerto Vallarta, but the northern part of Puerto Vallarta, called Nueva Vallarta, Riviera Nayarit, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. We'll go through that. Nicole, what do I need to do? Just go down one at a time like this? The way
Nope. So our friends can see the pictures better. At the very bottom of your screen, you're going to hit that slideshow button, because these are all of my photos from being there this past September.
And by the way, this is our Nicole Busenbark, who is our graphic arts designer, and Nicole actually got married there. And
I did 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Wow. Nicole, okay, these are your pictures? I don't think I realized that.
Yes, these are my pictures. I was there this past September. We stayed for 5 glorious days at Miraval Distinct, formerly known as Residences, if anybody's been there in the past. These are actually my photos. We had a very low occupancy while we were there, so we were very fortunate with that. It felt as if we had the entire place to ourselves, but I've also been there when it's almost at capacity and there still is plenty of room. So I don't want that to discourage anybody from no matter what time you go. It's always a magical experience there.
It really is. Nicole, let's take a look at the accommodations, and we look at any one of these accommodations where my cursor is pointing to. Tell us about the size of the rooms. Were you just blown away when you saw those 1,400 square foot rooms?
Oh my goodness. I remember the first time when we went, I went with my now husband the first time we went, and that was his first all-inclusive resort. And I walked into the room and I went, Oh no, he is spoiled for life now.
Well,
Because
that's
you
really
walk
true. And
in and it is just, it takes your breath away how, like, this whole place is mine for the week or how many ever days you decide to stay. Even if you have, I want to say just a 1 bedroom, it's 1,410 square feet. But that includes 2 bathrooms. That includes a full living room. That includes a kitchen that you're not going to use. There's some photos. I took pictures before we unpacked.
you know that, I mean, good for you. Look at that living room and kitchen area. And by the way, you can have dinner brought in if you so desire.
And
But
we did that actually because we took my son who is 6, and after a day at the beach all day, it's nice sometimes to just have dinner in your room, put on a show, and relax. So
oh
yeah,
my
and
gosh,
that's the master bathroom there on the left with the master bedroom. And then my personal favorite room category there, I've been there 4 times. My favorite category is that demi pool ground level floor, because as you can see, my little guy is down there just happy as a clam. That was literally right when we got there. Um,
so your the sliding glass door is literally just to the left of these lounge chairs, right by this private
yep.
little pool, right?
And so your patio area is actually really large. I'm actually standing on our patio, and then to the left, it would have gone, the patio area does, yes, go down that way. And what's so great is my son is 6, so he's not very tall, but that pool right there, he could be in it and stand flat-footed and it doesn't go over his head. So it was nice for that. It's also nice as an adult to just sit there with a cocktail in your hand, because the pool servers will come up to you over there, whether you're there at peak season or when it's low occupancy, they've always come up to that demi pool area and they're happy to bring food and drinks to you over there.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so beautiful about all this. Oh my gosh, these are such great pictures. Nicole, everybody, you're right, is so incredibly blown away with the size of the rooms. But it's when, at the end of the experience, everybody talks about the quality of service, the quality of food, the presentation of food. And I think this is a great example right there. Talk about the quality of food and the presentation of food.
Well, oh my goodness, you can see there's a few examples of some of the tapas that they have. That's up at Insu Sky Lounge. And that is your view from up top at Insu. So you're at the very top of the resort. Sunsets are just spectacular up there. You get that nice breeze from the ocean, even if you've got a warm day. If you're in there, in the middle of summer, they've got fans up there. There's the nice ocean breeze. It's always so comfortable up there at night, especially. It's all small plates, so you get to order a bunch of things and share them around the table. My son, as you can see there, he's a picky eater, and he didn't want grilled cheese. He just wanted bread, cheese, and bread. And they were so concerned. The chef even came out and he's like, no, he doesn't want this melted. And we're like, no. And so when they brought out the food and after he tasted it the first night, they all were looking around the corner and he goes, this is so good. This is great. We're coming here every night. And so the next night we went upstairs and they were like, oh, Mr. Cheese Sandwich is here.
Mr. Cheese, that's great.
But they're so accommodating. That was some breakfast items at Amagio, which just amazing. My goodness. So good.
Well, I have not eaten in a while. I'm getting hungry looking at these. But and by the way, the other thing, obviously, we're showing you the presentation, the quality of food, and you'll be blown away with that. That's one reason why I love this property so much.
Yes.
Because there's something for everybody. But it's the service that you get, the service from the heart. That this resort, they do a great job of keeping their employees for a long time, and their employees are just so good.
They're so good, and every morning they remembered our breakfast drink order. After that first day, every morning it was juice for my son, it was 2 shots of espresso and cream for me, and my mom always wanted a Diet Coke and an orange juice, and they just brought it without hesitation. Oh, and this part, this is just amazing.
It's heaven on earth, that new Matsumari area. For those of you that maybe have been down to the Miraval residences, which was the name of it when it got started, it was a half a block back from the beach. Well, since then, in the last probably 4 or 5 years, Miraval owner bought the empty lot to the north of this property and put in this beautiful, spectacular area called Matsumari that has an infinity pool, a restaurant, beach, the fabulous beach setup, and with all the water sports right there. It's, Nicole, honestly, what a great job they've done with this Matsumari area, correct?
It's incredible. And if you want to go to the other private beach club that maybe you had gone to in the past just to see it because it's nostalgic and you've been there and you want to go back and go on that side of the beach, you can. But let me tell you, you're going to go here and want to never leave. It is spectacular. Again, you've got pool service with food and drinks, and then the little cabanas when you step down beyond that little infinity pool area there, and they'll bring you your food and your drinks there as well. And it's a public beach, but yet it feels private because you're not going to be harassed. You're not going to be asked to buy this, that, and the other. They don't allow them up on the sand. In fact, we wanted to buy some hats, and the guy had to ask permission from the staff at Distinct if he could come and to sell us something, and he wasn't going to come up. So it's very relaxing. It's it's beautiful. You've got the mountain views, you've got, you name it. It couldn't be any prettier than it is. And like you said, the staff, phenomenal from start to finish.
Exactly. Everything about this property in this area is great. If you noticed out past the ocean on the right-hand side, that's the north side of Banderas Bay. So Banderas Bay is like a huge bay with the Sierra Madre Mountains behind it, and it is absolutely breathtaking. Seriously, this is the closest field to Hawaii or the South Pacific that you could get anywhere in Mexico. I just love this property and everything about it. There's a good picture right there of the infinity pool and the beach cabanas.
Yes, and then that top picture to the left there, I was standing at the cabanas looking up at the entranceway that we looked at prior. And as you can see, it's so pretty.
Yes, it is. The thatched roof palapa is where one of the restaurants is, and bars. Now, what's the gentleman on the bottom left-hand corner doing, Nicole?
Well, there's Bryce wearing his hat that we bought from the gentleman that we asked to come up to us. We didn't pack our hats, so I was glad to see that he was there. But my son had always wanted to taste fresh coconut milk, so we purchased from one of the vendors. We went down the road a little bit, or down the sand a little bit, and purchased a fresh coconut. And he got to watch him chop it, and gave him a little straw, and it was a highlight for him. It was pretty cool.
That is neat. That's so neat. Whoops, let's go back here just a second. I wanted to share with everybody too that in case you've got more than just the two of you, this property is one of the most unique properties that has not only 1, but 2, 3, and even 4 bedrooms under one roof. So we have a lot of times family members join, or just friends that come down and join, or a whole bunch. We've had a lot of girls trips, a lot of guys golfing trips. The golf is just fabulous down there. This property has an incredible spa. Now everything's all inclusive, but the spa, the salon, things like that. And there's only 162 of these beautiful rooms. And then there's, I believe it's 8 private villas with their own pool that are 3-bedroom, that are even more private if that's what you so desire. We can get you a flyer with this, or like Nicole said, just go to our website. Nicole's the one that puts this together. cruiseholidaykc.com, cruiseholidaykc.com/ and groups. Look for the hosted groups, and all of these will be on there. And if you want to just call and talk to us about it, you most certainly can do that and get the details at 816 area code 505-1500, 505-1500. Again, my birthday is May 30th, and they're going to be doing something real special for myself, for me as the birthday boy, and my group. So my guess is have a group of probably 30 to 40 people there, I'm guessing, and they'll have a dinner for us right there on the right-hand side, right on the beach. They did this for me 10 years ago for my other birthday that ended in a 0, And it was just a great experience for everybody. And we'll probably have music that night too, in case you feel like putting on your dancing shoes or whatever, or taking your shoes off and dancing in the sand. But I love the property because it's very quaint, very intimate, very easy to find your way to anywhere. The staff is so incredibly helpful. You've seen the pictures of the food and the service and the presentation. It is truly one of the most incredible getaways I've ever had. And I've been to this property maybe 8 times over my career, and they've been open around 12 years or so right now. This property has the Marival residence as distinct. And Nicole, the other thing I am going to do is I'm going to take the whole group over to Harmony one day, their new property on the north side of Banderas Bay, to let everybody see and experience that. We'll do a whole day trip over there where we'll get there before lunch. We'll have lunch. We can use the afternoon. We'll have changing rooms. We'll have opportunity to use that infinity pool. People can get spa treatments and experience the brand new Marival Harmony. But back to this. So I am going down May 28th through June 4th, 7 nights. But Nicole has put on there, if you want to stay just 5 nights, it's only $11.85 per person. If you want to stay 6 nights, it's $14.07. And you stay up to 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 nights. You tell us what you want. Just be sure you're there on May 30th. That's going to be the key. That'll be the fun part of this. And we'll help you with your air. We'll help you with travel insurance. There's so many options. Mexico literally just loosened up its restrictions on their COVID policies because they've had so few positive COVID cases in the whole country of Mexico for tourism. And I don't know, I can promise you this, you'll just love that area. I have a lot of people that tell me that they've been to Cancun, but they've never been to Puerto Vallarta. They've never been to the west side of the country of Mexico. But that Pacific side, honestly, is my favorite. First of all, the sunsets are so spectacular there. Secondly, like I said earlier, that Banderas Bay that's in the U section with the Sierra Madre Mountains around it, absolutely spectacular. And they have so many things to do. Golf is included at one of the golf courses there. Now, I'm an avid golfer. I'm going to go out and try to shoot my age on my birthday. We might have I don't know if we're going to have a tournament, but we'll at least have a golf get together. And there are 5 spectacular golf courses within 20 minutes of this property that I have golfed at, and we'll pick one of those I'll pick one of those for my birthday. We'll play golf that day. And if you want to play golf on a daily basis, we can get you on any of the other golf courses. Okay. Nicole,
Mark,
anything else?
Sorry, Mark, one thing I'd like to touch on is mobility there. All of those pools have a 0 entry entrance. So whether you're at the beach club or you're at the main resort itself, there's always a 0 entry. And then the golf carts will also take you over to Matsumare. So they'll not only take you over to Marival Resort, but they'll also take you to Matsumare. And it is, drop off right in the pictures before this. You were right at the pool where they drop you off. So I think that's something that is nice to not have to worry about getting there and wondering, well, am I going to be able to walk this far after being at the beach all day or anything like that if you have mobility issues?
Yeah, if you have mobility issues or Nicole, if maybe you were overserved a little bit of that good included premium alcohol during the day, you can, or at nighttime, you can get that transportation. And you just brought something up. 2 blocks from this property, the Marival Distinct is Marival's very first property. They call it their flagship, which is used to be called the Marival Resort. Now it's called the Marival Emotions. And it's a perfect family place with all the things to do for families. And many people, and this is Marival Distinct now, the one I'm staying at, is a family-friendly property. And a lot of people love it, especially grandmas and grandpas, my age people. I'm going to have my kids and grandkids with me. My guess is my daughter and son-in-law will take their 2 kids 9 and 6 over to the Miraval Emotions and let them play in that high energy family. It's because it's a lower priced area, a little bit bigger. There's a lot of action, a lot of energy, a lot of things going on that are just spectacular there. And so you're welcome. And by the way, I guess to finish my train of thought, you can stay at the Miraval Distinct and you still have privileges to go to the Miraval Emotions. The Miraval Emotions people do not have privileges to come to the Miraval Distinct. So I'd say go to the craziness, go to the energy, go to the fun place during the day, come back here for peace and quiet. I think you'll be very happy. And if you want to go to the Miraval Emotions at night and eat from their restaurants, you can do that too. All the meals are included. So that gets you up to about 11 different restaurants if you so desire. The other thing that Mimi will tell you, I will too actually, is that their World Spa is one of the best spas we have ever, spas are such a big deal anymore. And I know my wife has gotten me into spas, and she thinks exercising is going to the spa. So she exercises a lot at the spa. The kids make fun of her that way. Mom, getting a massage is not exercise. So anyway, she loves the spa down there. I do too. And there's all sorts of different types of treatments that will make you happy. Then there's a million different things, from zip lining to swimming with the seals or the dolphins. Nicole, didn't you do both the dolphins and the swimming with the seals?
So my husband and I actually did swimming with both. The first time we went, we did dolphins and sea lions. And then this time when we went with my mom and my son, we did just the sea lions, because they are like swimming with large puppies. It is so funny. They are so animated and they are so fun, and they kiss you on the cheek, and then their little flippers come around and they hug you and they kind of pat you on the back. And it was beyond a highlight for us. It was so funny. And my son was so surprised because I didn't kind of give him a heads up as to what to expect from it. And he was just in little boy heaven because he loves animals so much. So I think I think you have to be 6 to do that excursion. So whether you are 6, 66, 36, whatever it may be, it is such a fun activity.
Yeah, I think that 66 about touched me as my age when I did it the first time. It was just a great experience. So my point to all this, there's something for everybody. And by the way, if your goal is just to do nothing at all, that's perfectly fine. This is the most fabulous place to just relax and enjoy yourself and let yourself get spoiled. You deserve a great vacation. And I'd love to have you join me for any number of days. You can be gone. Just be gone over the May 30th. So you can get a hold of our staff here at Cruise Holidays. If you want to call 816-505-1500, 505-1500. You want to check all of these hosted trips out online, cruiseholidays.kc.com /groups, and you'll see all these hosted groups that are available. I really am so pleased with this experience, and I cannot wait to share this with you. If you've not been to this property, I so strongly encourage you, come down and see what I'm talking about. You don't have to be my best friend. You don't have to bring me presents. I just want you to join me. I'm one of those guys, the more the merrier. And I think this is great. It makes me happy to share places that I know about, that I love, that I know will bring you great satisfaction, joy, peace, relaxation, everything you want. Whether you're here as a solo traveler, we've got several solo travelers traveling with us, whether you are going to come as adults, couples, perfectly fine, or whether you want to bring a family, totally up to you. We most certainly can help you with all of this. Nicole, anything else? That I'm going to go on to our next subject, which will be the Duro River.
I don't have anything else on Miraval other than I can honestly tell you it's my favorite place in the world. I've been there 4 times and I would go back 400 more times. To talk about the Duro here, Jeanette is actually going to come up here to the office. So she is on her way, but if you want to get started with it, I think that would be fine.
Well, good. And let's just do this. I will talk a little bit about how we got all this started, but before I do, let me just say that there's been an awful lot of opportunities to do a lot of these vacations that we're showing you today. River cruises have become my favorite way to vacation. They're just easy. They're all-inclusive, primarily all-inclusive, probably 95% all-inclusive. They are, you get to see everything. You get to see the big cities, usually to start and to end in. You get to see all these quaint little villages or places that maybe you've never heard about, that will sometimes be the places that exceeded your expectations the most. And then when I put a lot of things together, I love being part of an organization like Park University. This is the new president, Shane Smead, and his wife that are going to be hosting this. And honestly, I'm doing this as kind of a fundraiser. I'm giving back part of the proceeds of this to Park University, where I was on the board of trustees for 10 years. Candidly, my wife and I were asked by one of the last presidents, Dr. Don Brecken, to help underwrite a baseball field for their baseball team. And Mimi and I prayed about it, and we opted to do that. So we built a baseball field at Park University in Parkville, Missouri, right on the Missouri River. And they honored us by naming it Comfort Field, and we're so proud of that. Mimi and I then scholarship a baseball player, usually at least one every season. And so long story short, a good friend of mine, and I'll introduce you when she gets here. Nicole, are you going to get Jeanette on when she gets here?
Yeah, once she arrives, I'll bring her on. But actually, I know you've got the presentation on your screen, so you can't see yourself or any of the guests. Marcy is actually on right now, so she's popped in to say hello here. Hi, Marcy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mark. How are you?
This is exciting. This is Marcy New, the AMA Waterways representative. And Marcy, you and I have been on several hosted trips together. It had a wonderful experience to go on a group river cruise together with a host like myself or you, or in this case, Jeanette Pringer or Shane. It's a wonderful way to really get to know people in that intimate, wonderful experience that only a river cruise can do. Don't you think that's one of the highlights of river cruising?
It is, Mark. Thank you for asking. It is absolutely wonderful to travel with a group because there's so many choices each and every day that everyone can do their own thing and then reunite in the afternoons and have a nice glass of wine or a good cup of coffee and talk about what they did that day. There's lots and lots of choices and something for everyone. And it's always wonderful to travel with people that have a likeness of yours. So yes, I love traveling with groups.
Well, I mean, I do too. Again, like I say, it's become my favorite way of vacationing. And I would say to you all who are watching today, especially if you've never river cruised, I really encourage you to give it a try. There's been a tremendous popularity in the last about 8 to 10 years towards river cruising. People just absolutely love it. And there is, gosh, almost a 97%, a little over 97% satisfaction rating. And honestly, AMA Waterways, which is why we use AMA Waterways for so many of our groups, has the highest satisfaction rating of any cruise line. And Marcy, explain to our audience today what people like best about the river cruise experience.
Mark, there's so many things, but I think one of the things is that there's no big crowds. We have lots of space per person. The ships are small with the maximum capacity at about 160 people. I think that because we offer up to 6 different excursions each and every day for them to choose from, and they don't just get to do one. They can put as many as will fit into their program or their schedule for the day, and those are all complimentary. And then I go into something so important because I think food is very important when you vacation, and we have a 5-star rating across our ships for food, service, accommodations, everything, but our food is second to none. The culinary experience is amazing on board. And I could go on and on. How about the beautiful destinations that AMA has that are exclusive to AMA? We have different cities that we're the only river line that have approval to go in and do our excursions. And the accommodations, so beautifully and well pointed, very spacious, so everyone has enough space in the accommodations, no matter what category that you are looking at, but you have lots of different types of accommodations available. We have the highest rated ships in Europe by Berlitz, which we have for six years at this point. So, I mean, I can keep going if you want me to keep going.
I think let's do this. I was just told, since I don't have the pictures on my screen, Jeanette Pringer, have you joined us?
Hey, Mark, how are you? Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Jeanette.
I am so glad to introduce Jeanette Pringer. She is a friend of mine from Weatherby Lake, where we both live, and Jeanette's been just a wonderful philanthropist in the community and a big supporter of Park University, a former Board of Trustees president. And Jeanette and I got together out on Weatherby Lake one time and said, hey, let's do this. And one of the reasons why we opted to do this, Jeanette, tell everybody you've got some history with Portugal as part of your family's background, right?
I do. I'm half Portuguese. I was born there. My mother is Portuguese, born and raised there, and actually met my father in Portugal. They lived in Portugal and Spain. So I was almost 5 when we moved to the United States, but I go there annually. I was just there in November, and I love going to Portugal, the food, the cheese. The Portuguese people have something very unique that other European countries don't commonly do. They watch TV with, and they love American TV and movies, and they watch it unedited. So they have learned American English very well, especially in the big cities. They have the Portuguese subtitles underneath. So you find a lot of people who do speak English, which for people going to a different country, and Portuguese is a little bit different than Spanish. Sometimes it's a little daunting, or you might think that as a negative, but you don't have to worry about getting around. The food is amazing, and this particular river cruise, I've been wanting to go for so long, and when the opportunity came up and it being able to benefit Park University was a no-brainer. I'm an alumni, I'm an immediate past chair, and I love Park University. Our international program and what we do is really important. And I would love for people, whether they know anything about Park University or not, just those that are having a little wanderlust and wanting to get out. I think this is a really safe and unique way to take a trip and be able to see another country that gets a lot of popularity, and there are a lot of expats from the United States in Portugal. Obviously, if you're a fan of port wine, it's a good place to kick off a river cruise.
Jeanette, I'd like to say, if for those people out there watching, if you know me, you know I'm very outgoing, and I love to be around people. And if there's anybody more outgoing and better with people than me, it's Jeanette. So no matter whether, Jeanette's right, whether you have any involvement with Park University or not, we encourage you to join us and go with us. And one of the things I was telling Jeanette when we were talking about this Duro River trip in Portugal that I had a chance to do about 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and I took maybe the most well-traveled group of people I'd ever taken with me, because so few people know anything about Portugal. And when that trip was done, these well-traveled people, I think I've never been on a trip outside of 1 or 2 where their expectations were exceeded as greatly as they were in Portugal. Jeanette, from your very comments about the people themselves and how hospitable they are, how wonderful they are, the food quality while you're there, the wine, and of course port while you're there, but the history, people forget about the history that's in Portugal, don't they?
They do. In fact, if you fly in, more likely you'll fly into Lisbon. I highly recommend coming in a few days early. There's nothing worse than missing your first day at sea because you try to slide in, come in hot, so come in a couple of days early. Lisbon does have the most Western Catholic church built on an old ancient Greek temple, and it's so unique. The history is amazing, but come in, travel up. The railroads are safe. Like I said, a lot of people speak English. Porto itself is a very busy city, lots of wineries to visit before or after the wine cruise. And I think people would find also that the music scene is very interesting, and they'll have a good time because Portuguese people and some of their best bands love mimicking American music and or American bands.
You know, I must tell you, I'm smiling because it brings back such good memories. And Marcy, let me ask you about this too, but it's interesting because the river's a little bit smaller, a little bit shallower. There's a little smaller vessel that travels there. We will be on your Amavita, and that's smaller than the ships that are on the Rhine and the Danube, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It only accommodates 100 passengers rather than the others that are between 140 and 160. So again, still very spacious, beautifully appointed accommodations, lots of space per person, just less people.
Marcy, you and I were talking here maybe a week to 2 weeks ago when we did that webinar, and you were saying that the Nile River and the Duro River are the two most popular rivers as far as selling out the quickest. Is that right?
That is totally correct, Mark. You know, we up until 2 years ago only had one ship, the Amavita, on the Duro River, and it was so popular that we built another ship and put it there. And I was so excited because I thought, oh goodness, we get double the capacity. Maybe I'll be able to find a stateroom. Well, the second one filled up as quickly as the first one, and absolutely, it's one of our destinations that you must book soon. Sooner rather than later, because it is so very, very popular.
And I will ask Jeanette this question because I think it is so cool, and I'm so happy you did this, Jeanette. I gave you the choice of which one you thought you would like best, the new ship that goes just round trip Porto, or the one that goes all the way through Portugal and then on into Madrid, Spain. And you picked that one, and I'm so glad you did because I've never been to Madrid. I can't wait to go to Spain on this, so we get two countries for the price of one.
Well, you know, I have had friends talk a little bit about, oh, you know, that seems like it's going to be a little inconvenient. By the way, they've already signed up. So the reason they signed up, if you're already going over to Europe, typically you don't just go to one city. You have now a chance to maybe fly into Lisbon or another city, stay a day or two, take in those sites, get to Porto, do the river cruise. Now you're in Madrid. Enjoy a couple of days in Madrid. You can take the train into Barcelona or anywhere else, really. Fly into Paris, London. I like to go to Europe. I do the trifecta. I always try to visit 3 different countries, and you can do that very effectively. By the way, it doesn't have to cost very much because once you're in Europe, those European airlines are very budget friendly. And so you can do 3 cities in 12 days, 12, 13 days, and be able to make good use of your time and money.
Well, exactly. And by the way, we have a wonderful flyer if you'd like to take a look at it with the pre-package in Lisbon or the post-package in Madrid. And we can customize this trip any way you want. For example, if you take Jeanette up, and I think that's a wise idea, man. You've got one airfare. If you've got the time, go ahead and spend your kids' inheritance and see as much of Europe as you can. Because seriously, whether it's the plane or whether it's the high-speed trains, which I personally love, you can see there. It's just so close. It's like a lot of our states over here. But I really encourage you. This trip will be October 25th through November 1st. And by the way, in Portugal, that is a perfect time weather-wise to be there. And it's the shortest flight from the United States to Europe because Portugal is the closest country to the United States. So there's so many reasons to go. If you have never been to Portugal, let me encourage you. As Jeanette knows, and as I know, you will absolutely fall in love with Portugal. You will, if you've not done the river cruise experience, you'll fall in love with the river cruise experience. And then again, like she says, getting to see Madrid is kind of like you know, having your cake and eating it too. It's the best of all worlds. And then there's great flights out of Madrid if you opt to come home immediately. So we can help you with whatever it is on this trip. And you know, I have forgotten to go through this. Here is a really good map of where Porto is. And just so you know, we did not have Lisbon, but Lisbon is south of Porto right there. But if you look through, because Portugal is really a fairly narrow country, but there are so many places that I bet you've never heard of that are absolutely going to exceed your expectations. And this is what I said earlier on. You know, so many people heard of Lisbon, and you might not know much about it, but you've heard of it. But it's when you get to these little other places that you will find just so charming and full of history and beautiful. The scenery in Portugal, by the way, it's one of the prettiest rivers I've ever cruised because of the mountains on each side of it. And because wine is such a big deal in Portugal, along the river, there are all these mountains where everything is terraced. The vineyards are terraced up on both sides of the river. It's absolutely spectacular. I think you'll just be so impressed. And again, if you've not river cruised, every time we stop at a port of call, or even in Lisbon or Porto, there will be included tours for you to take advantage of. And in most cases, there's many different tours, from wine tasting to historical to culinary, or the combination of all of that. There's just something for everybody. Maybe you're real active. Maybe you want to do a bike ride or a hike. There's lots of that available for you too. But I will tell you this, the wine tastings in some of the vineyards there will arguably be as impressive as any place in Napa or any place you have ever been in the world. I know I did this before, and it was just spectacular. By the way, in Ragu, that Holy Staircase hike, I did not know that was a pilgrimage area. And oh my gosh, it was just amazing. And then to hear the history of all of this is just so special. So the experience is just going to be like none other. And again, I told you about the history that maybe you didn't realize, but the Portuguese really kind of ran the world for a couple hundred years. So there's so much history. There's the Holy Staircase right there in Ragu. You'll just be amazed at that. And again, there's pilgrimages there every year. Oh, here's the terraced vineyards. Isn't this picture? Jeanette, doesn't this just look like Portugal from the river? Isn't this just gorgeous?
It is. It makes me a little homesick.
I bet it does. Makes me want to have a glass of Portuguese wine right now, too. The river is so beautiful, but this is also the scenery that you see almost the entire way through the country of Portugal. Just so beautiful. I mean, it's so breathtaking. I asked Nicole to put in a couple more pictures so you can get a good feel of what you'll see and experience in this area. It is just breathtaking. You see some of the color changes, and we may or may not hit the color change time. Remember, we're a little bit south, but we'll hit great weather time. Quinta, and I studied that because I wasn't familiar with that word, Jeanette, but I understand it's like a farm home or a villa or a farmhouse type setup. Is that correct? The quinta?
Correct.
Wow. See, I know Portuguese. You'll get a chance. And by the way, this is the other thing. And Marcy, let me address you on this. AMA Waterways does such a great job in giving people a feel of the culture. And wine is such a big deal in the culture of Portugal. Don't you see yourself sitting right there? And Marcy, it's really true. AMA Waterways knows people like the cultural feel, and they're going to get to see and experience the culture when they're on an AMA Waterways cruise there, correct?
Absolutely, Mark. One of our biggest goals is to always allow our guests to immerse themselves with the local pleasures, whether it's culinary, whether it's wine, whether it's taking a hike, whether it's visiting the castle at the top of the mountain. Our ultimate goal is for them to really get to experience what the local people experience and what the local people do and what the local people enjoy each and every day. And I certainly believe we do that on this sailing as well as all of our others.
Yeah, I agree too. I look at this and oh my gosh, Jeanette, it just makes the stress of daily life just kind of go down. Just looking at this picture, you just feel relaxed, don't you?
Well, I'm looking at it, and of course the white I'm assuming is the Vinho Verde, which is crisp and sparkling, and the alcohol content is very low. The thing I like about Portuguese wines, a lot of wines in Portugal and Spain, it's against the law for them to put preservatives and sulfites and some of the things that you find in our wines that give you headaches or may make you not feel very good. And the alcohol content, other than the port, is a lot lower. We also have a lot of people that have gone on these cruises and really enjoyed the food and beverages, and they don't drink. So that's a true testament to the creativity of the way they serve their food and the many things that they offer. By the way, tea was brought to Portugal via China and Japan, and there's quite a few plantations with the voyages that were done to Japan. So you were right, for a couple of hundred years, they were in the Asia, Africa, South America. So the cuisine is going to really surprise you.
Agreed, totally agreed. In a scenery and setting that's great. Yeah, there are many people, oh gosh, you don't have to go on this just, to experience wine. And if you're like my wife is off drinking right now, and she just has loved this itinerary, and you can do this very easily without having to have anything. There we go. I guess I should have gone there. I look at this, Jeanette, how many people would this be served for? The picture on the left, would that be like family style?
That would be family style, and I can see the grilled octopus in the upper right-hand corner of the left picture. They have their different potatoes. They love potatoes. They love beans, but their meat and their seafood is amazing. They do pork very, very well. Their portions are generous, but what my husband is always amazed at how much he eats when he's there, but the food is so flavorful. Obviously, being next to the sea, a lot of volcanic area like in Italy. And so the fruits and vegetables are just so flavorful, and you walk a lot. So you come back well, let's just put it this way. We've never gained weight when we go to Portugal. So that might change on this trip since we're making sure we hit all the wineries.
Well, I mean, the real reality is that you are right. People stay much more active on a river cruise, and AMA Waterways offers those options. But even most of the tours, and not most, but in a lot of the tours, you have the option of walking to the city. The cities are right there in the heart of where we stop in many cases. And people do end up getting more exercise than they normally do in the course of a day. I know rarely, and I'm like Kevin, Jeanette, I enjoy food and drink a lot, and I rarely gain weight. If anything, I lose weight while I'm there, but there's so much. Nicole and I picked this picture right here because I think all of you know what Tuscany is like, and you think about the little old medieval villages on top of a hill with a cathedral and a fortress and walls around there. And Portugal is the same way. Most of Europe is the same way. And I just think there's so much history like this everywhere, and just the beauty. Look at the mountains, the rolling mountains and hills in the background. I think it's just gorgeous. And we are very likely, hopefully, to see some color changes while we're there. This is my point right here about the guided walking tours and hikes. There's all of this available if you so opt to choose that option. And that's the one thing that AMA Waterways does so well. They give a lot of options because they know there's a lot of different people with different tastes. And a lot of times, hey, listen, like my wife and I will have different things. I love history, love history, especially if I can get history with wine tasting. So I'll go do that. Mimi might do a culinary or a cultural experience. And that's totally up to you to do whatever it is that you'd like. The other thing, in many cases, if the ship is there all day long, they'll do a tour right after breakfast, bring you back before lunch. You have lunch on the ship, and then you can go back out and do another tour in the afternoon. Now, in many cases, I bet, Jeanette, you do the same thing, and I bet you'd recommend this. Gosh, when you're done with that morning tour, ask your guide where a good local restaurant is and go experience the local restaurant for lunch. I mean, don't you think that's a marvelous idea?
Well, and now it's so much easier than when I used to go with my parents. You can actually Google. A lot of places are rated on Yelp in Portugal. So even if the guy, if you're, a little bit concerned that the guide might be telling you some place where he's a little more familiar, it's very easy to Google those local restaurants and cafes that the locals enjoy.
Yes, and by the way, on all of these tours that you do, AMA Waterways employs local guides that live right there. And so they know that area. And I will always ask, I'll ask the cruise manager on board what his favorite non-touristy restaurants are for lunch in wherever we are. Then I'll ask our guide, whoever our particular guide is, what they would recommend. And then if one of those restaurants overlaps, I know I've probably got one that I should choose. But there's so much going on. Hey, by the way, here's the pre-package. If you want to go to Lisbon for 3 nights before we begin the trip in Portugal, it's $900 there, as you see, which is a great price when you think of European hotels in big cities, because Europe can be very, very expensive. Portugal is very, very reasonable, and these will be at 4.5 to 5-star properties. They will include breakfast, and they'll include city tours too. And then I'm going to try to do this customized. I want to take you up through a place called Tomar, and Tomar has one of the most incredible fortresses, walled cities with a cathedral in it, where the Knights Templar had a big headquarters in that area. So there's so much to see and do, and just trust me, I'll make sure you enjoy this. And I recommend, like Jeanette said earlier, that it's always good going in ahead of time. It gives you a chance to not only get over jet lag, but it also gives you a chance to see that special city like Lisbon before we go to get on the cruise in Porto, which is north of Lisbon. Then at the end, you can fly home after there is an overnight. There is an overnight when we get to Madrid from the end of the river cruise. But if you want to stay for up to 3 nights or longer, AMA Waterways has that package too, which I am going to do November 1st through the 4th. Again, $900 for the quality hotel, for a city tour, breakfast included. Honestly, it's a very, very good value. And then to Jeanette's point, you can take trains, you can go wherever you want, and we'll have less planned at the end of this in Madrid. We'll be very good about putting things together on the fly if you want to go with a group. A lot of times by the end of a trip like this, people are sometimes a little toured out and want to do their own thing, and we're going to make whatever you want available to do for you. If you want to stick with a group and do things, you can do that. If you want some time to yourself, you can do that. So I'd say, gosh, just give us a call at 816-741-7417, and I'll be happy to go over this with you. And if you're just tuning in, one of the things Jeanette Pringer said, she's an alum of Park University. I was on the board at Park University. Jeanette just got off the board. Are you off the board? You just got off you were president of the board, Jeanette, correct?
I was the chair of the board, so I'm the immediate past chair, and I'm still on the board and still very motivated to make sure Park University alums, graduates, those that support us, and our international programs, I hope they'll seriously consider this amazing package.
Agreed. And I have the baseball field named after me, so we've got history with Park. As I said earlier, we're going to donate part of our proceeds back to Park University, and we really want you to join us. I think you're just going to love this experience. I know you love Jeanette, her husband Kevin, and Shane Smead and his wife. Myself, I'm just so thrilled to be doing this again. I promise you'll have a great time. Marcy, it's one of the best itineraries in the AMA Waterways fleets for satisfaction, isn't it?
It is, Mark, it is. As all of our itineraries have a little bit of character of their own, this one really shows you the history, the beauty of it. Again, you get to immerse yourself in the local culture, the local people, the local sites, everything beautiful that you can even imagine this region has. And one thing I always like to include is this region was established, over 2,000 years ago with the eruption of a volcano. So when we were looking at those vineyards, it is absolutely absolutely, that's not just a picture. That's what it really looks like. That is the true beauty of what you see in this region, and it is breathtaking. I cannot think of a time that you don't look out or look up or look around and think, oh my goodness, this is absolutely so beautiful. And Portugal has become very, very popular with AMA Waterways, of course, but also just Portugal, the country itself, because there's so much to see and do. And like you said, Jeanette, which is so very true, the people and the culture, they're so very wonderful to greet us with open arms and teach us all about their culture and their beautiful foods. This is another thing. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's fantastic.
Well, I encourage you to join us. I'll tell you what, I promise you there's nothing more comfortable than being with a group of people, especially with people like Jeanette and Kevin, with myself, with Shane Smead, his wife, and the whole group that are going with us. I think you will find you'll make new friends because it's very easy to make friends and acquaintances on these ships. But most importantly, I think you'll have your expectations exceeded in all ways. But I would tell you this, it's going to sell out. We have till February 1st on this, so we need you to give us a call or check us out online and make decisions. All you have to do is deposit if you want to go, and then your payments will come up in between February 1st and then. But we have to give any space back that we have held. We've got about half of our group allotment sold. We'd love to have you join us, and then we will have a document party before we go. And Jeanette, you'll get a chance to meet Jeanette and Kevin and Shane and his wife. And if you don't know me, myself, there's a $1,500 deposit. That's all it takes. If you want to do the pre or post, that's a $250 per person deposit. And then we'll tell you the other parts of the financial setup too. We will also go over travel insurance. We think this is the time that travel insurance with a cancel for any reason waiver is a very wise thing to do, and we'll go through all of that with you too. Okay, well, I wanted to say thank you, Jeanette. Thanks for joining me today. We had to do this on a holiday to get you. You're a workaholic, kind of like I am, and I thank you very much for taking time out and being with us right now.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Marcy, for educating us. I'm so looking forward to this. And the people who've already signed up are very excited about getting to understand and know more about, or traveling into there and how we can have a really great experience actually in two countries, Portugal and Spain. Thanks so much.
I just love it because you'll be like our own private kind of guide to give us some special insight about Portugal that we wouldn't get otherwise. I think that's wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
We are too. Marcy, thanks so much for joining us today. Happy Martin Luther King's Day. I know it's a day off for you and you're working, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great day.
You all do the same. Give us a call at 816-505-1500, 505-1500, or check us out online. All of these, everything you hear and read and see are online with our groups. Just go to our groups page and the hosted groups will be right there. So I appreciate you all watching. We're going to go to the next trip, which actually is a back-to-back trip with this one, and it's the one that starts first. I'm going to take a sip of water before we go. And hey, Marcy, are you still on?
I am, Mark.
Because we're doing this cruise right before our Duro River cruise, October 10th through the 17th, the Gems of Southeast Europe, also on AMA Waterways. And that picture you see right there is the Parliament building in Budapest. And that's one of the most, Marcy, one of the most incredible sights from the river you'll ever see.
It truly is, Mark. The architecture over in that area of the world is so varied, meaning some of it's Romanesque, some of it's Gothic, some of it, but this particular piece of architecture is one of the most beautiful that I think Europe offers of all of the countries. Yes, it is magnificent.
This picture also at dusk reminds me of what another thing that AMA Waterways does, and it'll do this in Porto when we leave Porto too. There will be an illumination cruise that AMA takes us out at night to let us see the lights of the city, which I think is absolutely special. But Marcy, this is very interesting. This Gems of Southeast Europe starts, the one we're doing, starts in Budapest, will end in Bucharest, and it's called the Lower Danube because so many people know the Upper Danube, right?
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
maybe Bilshofen, or people go into Prague first and then end up in Budapest, or vice versa, Budapest ending up in Prague. But this is a little different itinerary, and I think this is going to be for a lot of the maybe more well-traveled people, the people that have never been into the Eastern Europe bloc countries of Hungary, of Romania, of Serbia, of Bulgaria, and
Croatia.
Croatia. There we go. And it's October 10th through the 17th. So again, a perfect time to be in Europe, just a perfect time. And one last thing before I get into this, if you're interested in doing both this one and the Duro River that we just showed you, the Duro River one starts right after this. This is October 10th through the 17th, but we spend 4 nights, if you so desire, in Transylvania, Romania. We'll talk about it in a minute, and then we will I'll fly from Bucharest to Lisbon and meet the group there in Lisbon. But here we go. This is my wife, Mimi, is going to join me on this one. It's going to be on board the Ama Waterways Amabella, and there is the itinerary. And I'll bet you outside of Budapest, you have not heard Belgrade, maybe not in Ireland, by the way, but that might be the only itinerary you have heard on this. So let's kind of go through a little bit. Oh, I love that picture, Marcy. There's a picture from across. Buda, by the way, is on one side of the river in Budapest, and the city of Pest is on the other side. And that's the new parliament. By the way, you'll learn all the communist history in this area too. A lot of history there. That is quite fascinating. And on the other side of the river where this picture was taken is where a lot of the communist buildings were when they were running that part of Eastern Europe. Isn't that a great picture, Marcy?
It is fantastic. And truthfully, those fall leaves that you're seeing are really they really add to the picture, but that's really what it looks like also. It's a magnificent structure, whether it's daytime or evening. The evening just gives it a glow off of the river, where the daytime you really get to see the detail of the structure itself. But it is one of the largest, it's the largest parliament, if I'm not mistaken, in Europe. So it is at its magnitude, it's beautiful. It's just huge and beautiful, and it's hard to describe till you see it, so you just need to go and see it with us. That's what you need to do.
True. There's so much history in Budapest, so much history that you'll hear all about and find all about. You know, then when we leave, and by the way, you can go into Budapest early. Ama Waterways has a pre-package, I think, of 2 nights in Vienna. Believe it or not, Vienna, Austria is very, very close to Budapest. So if you so like, you can go and do that first. So my point is we can customize about anything you would like to do. Here, and I got to tell you, I've not been to this itinerary. So a lot of these places, forgive me if I mispronounce the names, but I've not been to anywhere either. And I do know, as I've studied this along with Mimi, the historical part of this is very, very different than the historical part of much of Europe. There's just not as many old buildings, especially uniquely designed buildings like you'll see in other parts of Europe here on the Lower Danube. Moax, I have not been to Moax, Hungary. You see the buildings there that are totally unique and special in that city. We will do tours of the historic. Again, like AMA always does, you'll have opportunities to do historic tours, scenic tours, cultural tours, culinary tours, or a combination of all of those, along with biking and hiking. Marcy, do you know anything about this city?
I don't. All I know about this city is it's very, very old, which are so many of the cities that we visit. I will say that we did visit this city, if I'm not mistaken, just recently. We put it on one of the other Danube itineraries because it's not that far away from Budapest, and everyone said it was incredible, that the architecture is very, very unique as you're actually traveling south on the Danube, coming into, as you said, Mark, you know, the countries that really experienced a lot of communism up until not that long ago. So they each have a different flavor.
Yes, and I'll tell you that again, gosh, the picture on the right looks like it has a little combination of both German and maybe Ottoman influence. The building on the right, very definitely an Ottoman influence. So you're going to get to see a lot of things. But here's the one thing I wanted to point out to you. This is a place where we will go to in Croatia, and I want you to look at these pictures very carefully. So the other thing I want you to know, there's with all the wars that they've had even since communism in this area, they're not as well-to-do, these countries. And by the way, that's why a lot of the employees on AMA Waterways River cruises are from these areas: Croatia,
Yes.
Bulgaria,
Yes.
Romania, Serbia. But look at this. A lot of these are damaged buildings that are still like that from the war, that they've just not had the money to clean up. You see the water tower there, the picture up on the left. That's one of the national symbols of the Croatian War of Independence. So lots of unique history. Let's just call it that.
You know, Mark, I would in Vukovar, the one you were just on, also don't forget the Eltz Castle, which is that Baroque palace that still was not hurt, basically, was built in the 18th century and is now a big part of the museum, which we actually visit. So it's got a lot of the history of that particular city also preserved in that museum.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that too. That is so good. That another one of the tours that day in that Novi Sad option, which is a city real close by, you get to go to what they call the Athens of Serbia walking tour, and I think that's so great. And then they have bike tours and hiking tours to the fortresses. So we go from Hungary into Croatia. You see the walled city here that looks like it's still incredibly well preserved. And you know, those walled cities are all throughout Europe, and I find them just fascinating. But that was a matter of life or death, you know, when when they were built. So it's a big deal. And here, let's see, Marcy, what do we see here? I cannot remember.
This is part of our Vukovar. It's just an additional extension to that, and you can do a wine tasting.
Yep.
This area prior to, or you can choose a Novi Sad, which we talked about, which is going to be hiking or city tour.
So again, there's so much to see. I like, if you'll notice, I think you'll find this has a little more of a rural or almost forest type setting, till we get to some of the towns like this. And everybody, Marcy, I know when we did that webinar a year or so ago, your cruise manager that was from, I believe, Bucharest, maybe, she said this was, if I remember right, one of her favorite cities in all of this entire trip, the Lower Danube trip. But you kind of see why. How cool is that? It's got all sorts of different architecture.
She talked a lot about the different types of architecture, but also the different types of history. And it comes from many different cultures that basically migrated to Serbia from many different places. And that's why you see the architecture, some is very Gothic, some is old Roman, some in which you wouldn't think you would find this far south, but you do. And so, yeah, she said this is where her family vacationed in the summer times.
You know what, I'll tell you, I see those sculptures, and one of the things that when I always see sculptures, I always go, boy, okay, that's cool. This person had something major to do with this city, whether it was somebody that had independence, was involved in independence, somebody that maybe was an author or a poet or something like that. But I love to see the sculptures because they always tell me something special about that area. Like this, in that I just look at that and I think, oh my gosh, this is where one of the communistic museums is, right? The Tito Memorial.
And you see the memorial. Yes, you see a lot of it in that lower left-hand picture. Yeah.
And this is Belgrade. There's going to be Tito, of course, was one of the big leaders over in that part of the world for a long time, and We can go to the Royal Palace. We can go to Tito's memorial tour and up to
Right.
the Belgrade Fortress. That's all part of the tour. And then they've got a brandy tasting there too that's available, and a scenic mountain tour. So again, that's one of the things I really like about AMA Waterways. They know, they've hired the experts in these areas. They know what we Americans will want to see, the highlights of that area there. But I just personally think most of us will want to find out about Tito and his influence in that area. That's in Belgrade, Serbia.
You know what
Hey,
I
by
love
the way-
about Belgrade too, Mark, is look at the brightly colored buildings. I mean, granted, many of them are the same color, but they're very lightly painted. But you see some of the bright yellow, and you see some red, and you see the rooftops. It just makes me think of freedom and think of happiness.
And by the way, I had the wonderful pleasure, I guess you would say, of being in Budapest, Hungary in 1978 when it was still communist controlled. I did a snow ski trip over there, and we took a trip to Budapest. And of course, in communism, this is the point about the colors. Everything is gray. Everything is
Right.
drab. And after the war, the Hungarians in almost every place wanted color back in their buildings, back in their clothing, back in everything. So you see it here on that picture on the right. All of those buildings were painted those different colors that you see after after World War II.
Right.
Okay, I think this might be the highlight, or at least to me. This was one of the King Decibel. And they call it I don't know, Marcy, can you pronounce that? Baba K Rocks?
I think it's Baba Key.
Okay, I'll go with that. You know more than I do
No,
about this area, but
not
can you
so much.
imagine carving that out of those rocks? It's like Mount Rushmore.
It absolutely is. And if I'm not mistaken, this is where it signifies that they tried to cross the river, and the river's current was so strong that they did not make it across. So they could not do the crossing. That's what made it become the Iron Gates, because basically of steel, there was nothing that could cross the river right here.
Yeah, that's right. And this is kind of the border between Serbia and Romania. And we all have heard of the Iron Gates. You know, frankly, for many years, I thought that was literally an iron gate that they blocked people from going from one country to another, but it wasn't at all. So I think they did say also, Marcy, and I would bet this would be true, that this is the most photographed place on this entire trip. And you'd have to guess it would be.
Yes.
I love things like that, Marcy. I think this is just so doggone cool. And Decibel, I got to be honest with you, I did not, he was the king of Dacia, and I don't know anything about that culture, so I'm going to study that before we leave.
Yeah, there is so much in this area, Mark. The topography, number one, is beautiful between these two countries.
I love this picture, Marcy, because it shows so much of the scenery, the rugged scenery in this area that is sparsely populated, let's just call it that. And I got a feeling the river cruise experience, Marcy, one of the things I love about river cruising are those days that we are cruising during daylight and we get to see things from the top deck of the ship, where we are just enjoying it so well, because there's not a lot of days, you know, there's maybe 1 or 2 half days that you get to do that, but I think this experience will have more of those days, and that's a treasured experience, being on the they call it the sun deck, the very top of the deck of this river cruise ship.
Yeah, it allows you to really fully immerse yourself in the landscape around you, where the river gets narrow, where the river is wider. But not only that, but look at, I mean, this is amazing. Look at the jagged rockiness of what you have, you know, in these countries, whether it's a mountain or whether it's just a flat surface, as you see on the right-hand side. But you've got the beautiful topography on that river.
Agreed. I would, call this land rugged, and I think this part of the trip's going to be very, very special. And you know, it's going to be really unique. It's going to be a lot more unique than we think. And then, of course, you come to some other places like this. I love this picture because you can tell this taken right at dusk where the lights are starting to turn on. But I love
Right.
the color and the lights and the energy that this picture showed. But Marcy, if you look through, you see the big fortress up on top of the hill, of course. But look at the different colored buildings, and then there's some, they look like columns, you know, that were there probably, gosh, you know, 1,000 years ago, maybe 1,500 years ago. I think that's just going to be, all of this is going to be uniquely different. And one of the things I love is I love going to places that I've never been before, because you learn about them. And I just think, oh, doesn't this picture in this picture great?
It's just full of energy. And I think that might be the Baba Vita fortress located up on the mountain. I believe, I'm not positive on that, but I believe that might be that particular fortress. But it is full of energy, as we said, and as you said, Mark, you know, back when the communism was still within these countries, everything was very gray, no energy, very drab. And this is a great picture to show you what people did when they had freedoms. They opened up their minds and their creativity. You see all different colors, all different types of architecture again within just the individual homes, as well as the buildings, the commercial buildings that you see that are very old still, but beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
picture.
absolutely beautiful. Marcy, look at the looks like the newer, more modern building on the right. You see the rooftop
Yeah. Yes.
bar or grill up there. I love those rooftop places too, like that. Hey, by the way, this is in Veeden, so I do think you're right. I think that's the Baba Vita Fortress. And I
think
love
that
the
is.
fact, you know what the other tour is that Ama's doing? It's a banista pastry and yogurt tasting tour. I love it. That's something you'd probably do if you're there, wouldn't you? Make yogurt and pastries?
Oh, sure, sure. I would like to be there twice so I could do both in the morning.
Well, yeah, you know, and I'm the history guy, so I love this. I love that roadway on the bottom right in the center. Isn't that beautiful? Man.
It is, it is. And to remember in so many of these cities, especially on this lower Danube, you know, you'll see cars, of course, but there's not nearly the magnitude of cars anywhere in the area. You see a lot of bicycles, they still do some trains, and a lot of people just walk. And that's their source of transportation to get around to their jobs. And I love the streets that have all these places coming into one spot and then separate back out, yeah, into almost like the market plots, if you would, or the city center.
Yeah, I love this. That's a great picture.
Yeah.
There's the Kratchik fortress in Bulgaria. That's the other thing, as you probably know, all these areas of the world, they used to use what they had in the area to keep them protected. But look at, just look at that picture for a while and you'll see so much in there. It took me a long time to see the walls of the city up top of the mountains, and you see the people walking up there and how, you know, little they look compared to those gigantic rock formations. But yeah, this will be a different kind of history. That's what I like about this.
You know, on this particular fortress, they just used Mother Nature, the rocks of Mother Nature, and they basically built the wall around it to create the fortress, but the rocks were really the protection. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so cool. So cool. And Rose, I think that's maybe where we end on the tour. And there's, I love that gate. Look at the rock or the stone gate as you go into that. So cool. This was an ancient capital in Bulgaria, and we just get to see so much. The medieval fortress, the Orthodox, there's lots of Orthodox temples in this area. Anyway, I think all of this is going to be good. There's the UNESCO designated rock-hewn churches of Ivanovo, forgive me. So if UNESCO says it's worthy of that designation, you know it's going to be special.
Absolutely.
Okay, oh, I got to tell you about this. So Rouse is where we end our river cruise, but that's not where we end the trip unless you so desire to end it there. One of the things, and I was told, Marcy, by one of your we were on the we were on the main Danube, and on the Ama Magna, one of our servers there was not one, two or three of them were telling us just they're from this area in Romania. They were telling us how spectacular this Transylvania is, the Bronze Castle in Romania, and that has been dubbed Dracula's Castle. And so AMA Waterways offers a 4-night extension into this area of Romania to see the history and the beautiful scenery in that area, which I am going to do. Mimi and I are going to do. I hope you'll join us on this. I promise you, if you pay round trip, we'll bring you back from Dracula's castle all in one piece and with no holes in your neck. Okay. By the way, I did have Nicole put this picture up. I love this picture of Pele's Castle, I think in Seney, if I pronounce that right. I'll learn how to price it or say it when we're over there. But it just looks so incredibly spectacular. Just doesn't it make you feel like old world excitement?
It does. It feels old world, but it feels like very fancy old world almost, with the beautiful way that they've got the half timbers halfway up. Something extremely different than what you would see in a castle on the Upper Danube. So very, very different, very unique compared to many of the castles you see. But look at all the towers on this castle. They have lots of towers on the Lower Danube. You know, one of the castles that we visit has 9 towers. So I find it most intriguing and fascinating. Obviously, they were looking in every direction to protect themselves. That's why you have the towers.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you've got, again here, the old walled area, but this is the #1 castle, #1 rated castle in the Lower Danube because of its beauty.
It's got a little bit of a Swiss or a German chalet flair too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's with the half timbers. Almost looks like a chalet.
Absolutely. And I look at those colors, and who knows, we may or may not be there at the time of the start of the fall color changes, but I know October 10th through the 21st is going to be a perfect time to go there. I know the scenery, everybody tells me that you go to this area for the cultural and scenic experience. You learn about the history, but it's totally unique history compared to what you learn in most of Europe on most river cruises. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a very unique experience that I bet will be exceeding our expectation type experience. And I look forward to doing this along with you. I hope you'll join us. Give us a call. We can tell you all about it. We can go over the deposits, the cost, the accommodation options like we can on any of these experiences that we have. So Marcy, anything else to say about this one?
No, I think it's spectacular. I think that the time that you are going is going to be perfect weather. I've looked at it all. I think you've picked a wonderful time to go see this part of the world. And, you know, I think, again, Mark, this particular itinerary maybe takes us to places you would love to visit, that you know you would love to visit, but you might not venture out on your own to visit. So let us do the transportation, the luxury on board, the fabulous dining, the beautifully appointed accommodations, while you get to visit countries that are off of the beaten track, that not so long ago didn't give us the freedoms, but now do, and they have so much to offer.
Well, I mean, that is well said. And I'll tell you, again, I expect, Marcy, that your crew on board this ship will be, the Amabella will be, you know, because so many of them will be from this area, Serbia or Croatia or Romania or Bulgaria. I bet they'll be so excited to show us their homeland and tell us about their homeland. And I don't know, something about this is going to be special, very, very special. And then I love traveling with groups like this, because especially if I've not been on it either, you and I are sharing these memories for the first time of everything that there is to see and to learn. And I think I cherish those sharing of memories together. And one of the things that we do so well is we help break the ice so people get to know each other very well. It's so easy to do on a river cruise ship because basically there's one lounge, there's 2 restaurants, and the sun deck, and that's pretty much the whole area. So people just by nature get to know each other pretty well. And then AMA Waterways does the best thing in the world, and this, I just love this. An hour before dinner every night, they have what they call, I call it AMA's happy hour, but they call it, AMA calls it their sip and sail hour. So like from 6 to 7, let's say, and maybe the first half hour of that, everybody just gets together and kind of talks about what they did all day. And you see natural bonding where the chemistry of people just kind of takes place. And AMA has opened up the bar for anything you want that whole hour. And then the second half of that hour, it's the cruise manager that will be your best friend on this trip next to me, even more than me, I should say, will be sharing about the tours of where we will be stopping the next day. So it's a great thing to do. And Marcy, we've had so many people develop into lifetime friends and traveling companions from going on these trips, people that never met each other before they started on these trips. But like-minded people will be what makes these groups so very well. If nothing else, we'll be talking about the Chiefs a lot, okay? So, Marcy, anyway, I'll tell you what, I've got 3 minutes for this next segment, but you know, I think it's worth repeating again for the people maybe that are just tuning in, but river cruising has become my favorite way of vacationing. It's so easy. Value for the dollar, it's just tremendous where almost everything is included. We can help you here at Cruise Holidays with your pre-packages, your post-packages, travel insurance, and the options that you have, whether it's canceled for any reason, insurance waivers, or what AMA offers on their travel waivers. We can walk you through and make sure you're comfortable with all the policies that are going to be needed to go on this trip, and especially from maybe one country to another. We can help you with airfare. We can help you customized vacations before or after the cruise, you name it, whatever you want. That's what we do, and we've been doing that for 33 years, helping you have the very, very best vacation you can have. Marcy, I sure thank you for joining me today. And I tell you, the river cruise industry is, I feel bad for our friends with the big ocean cruise lines right now, and they will bounce back. But we're seeing a lot of the ocean cruise customers jumping over and wanting to do river cruises now because they are, you know, so small and so intimate and so all-inclusive. And so the river cruise industry is winning the battle or the vote for the customers' vacation dollars and segments, aren't they?
They are indeed, Mark. And you know, one thing I want to reach out and say to everyone today is don't wait. Plan that vacation. Let us do the worrying for you. There's really nothing to worry about. Mark and I have been back and forth to Europe a couple of times in the past 60 days. It was easy to travel. We're going to help you get there. We're going to take care of you. Don't wait to book it because it will go away. There has been a great demand for, as you mentioned, river cruising, and the demand is going to continue to get bigger. So please book it now. Please don't wait and don't worry.
Yeah, I think that's a wise statement. What we've seen very definitely is that this Omicron variant is peaking. We hear like it is in Great Britain, South Africa, even India. It goes down as fast as it comes up. So we're seeing a lot of bookings in summer, in third quarter and fourth quarter. So this being in fourth quarter in October, I would tell you that, you know, there's so much demand for business at that time. I would make your decision. Give us a call today. Let us help you with 816-505-1500, 505-1500, or go to our website, cruiseholidayskc.com. Nicole will be sending you a link to this if you want to send this out to any of your friends or family to join you, to join us. We'd love for you to do that. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Marcy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Mark, so much. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing everybody on board.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Marcy. Thank you for your support. Okay, I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we're going to go into an ocean cruise trip that we have a special host. And one of my favorite parts of the world, you heard me talk about how I love history. Well, man, there might not be too much more history than there is in Athens with the Parthenon, the Acropolis, with Santorini, with Mykonos, with Crete, with Rhodes, with Kushadasi for Ephesus. We're going to go through all this, but I think you're going to be amazed at what you're going to see. And by the way, this is on Azamara. You may or may not have heard of this line, but it's a medium-sized ocean cruise line that they've just been fabulous to work with. There's 756 people maximum. And right now, these ocean cruise lines are not allowed to have full capacity. So there probably won't be more than 500 people on this ship at the most. Jules Cook, who is one of our wonderful friends over at Barber Financial Group, she will be host of this group. We've got, I think, 18 or 20 people signed up on this already, and they've given us very, very special prices that will go through early February before the prices go up. And again, it's a 7-day cruise starting October 22nd, going through the 29th, but we have pre-packages and post-packages. Let me go through the itinerary, because like I said, my gosh, if you've never been to the Greek islands and to this part of the world, oh my goodness, this is a great way to see it. This is kind of one of the cradles of civilization. So Athens is where we will all fly into. It's one of the bigger cities in that area in Greece, of course, and there's great air service into Athens. And then we go to the different ports called Tinos in Greece, is very close to the Olympia area, and there's just an awful lot to see. Some of these islands that maybe are off the beaten path, this cruise ship and cruise line can go to, simply because they're a smaller ship. You'll see Mykonos will be there, Kushadasi, which is Ephesus. Outside of Egypt on the Nile River, where I'm going, I'll be there a month from now. The ruins at Ephesus are the most incredible ruins I've ever seen anywhere in the world. So that to me is a must see. And you know, Turkey was off the list of cruise ships weren't going to Turkey for quite a while. So now they are. So this could be your advantage to see this. And oh, you'll be so glad you did. And then Rhodes, which you might have heard as Lindos, is where another one of the stop. Boy, you've heard of the Colossus of Rhodes. You'll see all that. There's a huge walled city that you'll see there. Aegios in Crete. Believe it or not, some of the oldest civilization in the world outside of Africa has been found in Crete. And then they're saving the best for last. We're going to Santorini last, and Santorini arguably is one of my favorite places anywhere in the world. Okay, you start out the first. I'm a ancient history guy. I think you all know that know me or have listened to me on Vacation Views. I do that show every Saturday from 10 to 11. I talk about all these wonderful places in the world that people are going to, that are popular destinations, that are things that are what I call bucket list or must-see destinations. If you've not been to Athens to see the Parthenon on top of the Acropolis is a tall mountainous area that, in this case, the Parthenon is built on. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Athens is, oh my gosh, a must-see city. And then a lot of these Greek islands that you'll go to, Tinos, I have not been to Tinos because the ships I've been on in that area have been too big to stop here at this little Greek island, but they all have their own charm and their own culture that I think you'll feel every time you're there, and there'll be all sorts of options for things to do. This looks like an area that you could probably do a lot of, maybe you do a history tour in the morning and then nothing else, go eat in Tinos, and then have a couple of ouzos or wines or cappuccinos or whatever and enjoy the day there. Then we go on to Mykonos, and I think everybody probably has heard of Mykonos. You know, these are the famous windmills that are, you know, honestly, Mykonos is known for. But I want you to look at this picture and see all the whitewashed buildings. So many Greek islands are known for their whitewashed buildings. Santorini is known for their whitewashed buildings and blue dome tops. Mykonos is known for their whitewashed buildings and their windmills there. Now, look at this picture carefully, and you can see all of these little lounges or restaurants and bars. And I got to tell you, I have done the tours, and I love the tours, and I think it's important that you do that. But I really encourage you to take some time to yourself and just stop at a place like this or this and have a cocktail or have a beer or have a coffee and just overlook this beautiful Mediterranean Sea. It is something else. So yeah, very, very idyllic, very, very special, no doubt about it. Okay, I told you about Kushadasi and Ephesus. Again, arguably some of the best ruins in the whole world. And one reason why it is, you see I showed you the picture of the Acropolis with the Parthenon, and that's one building, and then you see the walls, and you see a lot of ruins that are partial, that have been torn down over the millenniums. Here, because there's no other city around it in Ephesus, this is the Ephesus of the Bible, Ephesians, and so this whole city is being unearthed, and at one time it was the third largest city in all of the world, and then the sea retracted out, and it's quite a ways away from where Ephesus is, so the city just died. But wait till you see all the history. This is the first library right here. That, I mean, a two-story library, three-story almost arguably. Right next door to it over on this side was the first medical complex. Down through these doors or these gates is one of the most incredible amphitheaters with perfect acoustics. They still have concerts in. There you go, you see it right there. But look at the picture on the right. That's the one I want to show you. This is the walkway, and you can just sense and feel what it was like 2,000 years ago with all of the energy and all of the people and their shops, the markets. And there's that down at the bottom of this walkway, there is that library. Crazy. And then the amphitheater is right over to the right of the library. So just you just won't even believe it, spectacular, spectacular ruins. Let me go back just a second. And they're still unearthing. When I was there last, they had only unearthed 1/8 of the city, and so there's still 7/8 of the city to be unearthed. But part of the areas that they're working on painstakingly, by the way, the archaeologists all over the world are coming to work on these projects. You get to go through 1 or 2 of those, and you can see what they're going through and what they're finding, and it's just a fascinating thing. Now, by the way, right up behind the hills here in Ephesus is one of the most tranquil areas you'll ever find, and they say that's where the Virgin Mary spent the last few years of her life, and right here in Ephesus. And what a beautiful, quiet, scenic, almost most definitely for me, a spiritual experience. Okay, so a lot of the places where you go, yes, in the Greek islands, you'll see it as great beaches where a lot of people go to for vacations. Also, you'll see with the fortresses and cities and all the big medieval walls like this. This is in Rhodes. And Rhodes is a fascinating, fascinating place. My gosh. But the walled city protected the big city inside it. Then they still have, you know, all sorts of people living there. They have markets throughout this whole place. Is just fabulous. You see these structures and you just think of how well these were built and all the history of this area back then, and how fabulous it is that it's still intact enough for us to see it and really, really appreciate it. And there's something special about all this history being on islands. So the Greek islands, you know, you will appreciate maybe more than any group of islands anywhere in the world, arguably. Okay, in Crete, you know, they found civilization there that's been well over 5,000 years old. Isn't that something? But again, it's the neat little island type setup where, as you know, in almost all volcanic islands, there's hills, and the hills are where the fortresses were usually put, either that or right on the water, like this on the right, which is a combination both on the water and in the hills. So much to see and so much beauty. And again, a lot of these places, like that first picture in Tinos I showed you, this would be a place that if you've got some extra time before you get back on the ship, be a beautiful place just to sit at an outside bistro and have a you know, glass of wine or beer or cocktail or coffee or something like that. So there, again, history yet charming and quaint. You'll love it. Okay, I told you I was saving the best for last, or Azamara in this case is saving the best for last. Santorini is just special. There's just no other way to describe it. Just absolutely special. They do believe this is where the lost city of Atlantis was. They do believe that this was a volcanic mountain that had an eruption that blew straight up and blew out a side of the caldera of the island. The ocean filled in, and that's where the cruise ships come in. And the cruise ships are down, gosh, in many points here, 1,000 feet below where these structures are, on top of the mountains there, and oh gosh, on top of the island. And it's I don't know what word to use besides beautiful, idyllic, special. This is the one place that has so much history. And I think I've been there 4 or 5 times maybe, and I've never taken a tour. It's just so peaceful, just so relaxing, just so special that Mimi and I walk around, we'll shop a little bit, and we'll find a place up here on these the whitewashed buildings with the blue domes all around there, just like Mykonos. There are quaint little special restaurants where you can grab a bite to eat, or grab a wine or a beer or a cocktail or a coffee, and you just sit and you overlook this beautiful setting. And like I say, it's like no other setting I think I've ever seen anywhere. It's just absolutely magnificent. It's amazing. So this whole experience is tremendous. I give Azamara so much credit for putting an incredible itinerary together. And it's a very port intensive itinerary. As you see, you're at port every day on this. So the reality is, it is amazing. Now you'll see all these little beautiful places in the Greek islands outside of Athens where you start, but then Jules is going to offer an optional tour, or we are through Azamara. Jules is doing this to go to Istanbul after the Greek islands cruise and spend, I think it's 3 nights, 4 days there. And as you know, Istanbul is where East meets West, Europe meets Asia. Several religions meet there. It's quite a historic and a cultural place, without question, quite a cultural place. You maybe have heard about all the bazaars there. As you know, Istanbul is known for their bazaars, so there's so much. Well, hey, I wanted just to share this with you to see and let you see This is an incredible experience. And again, everything we see is in October is such a perfect time to go to this part of the world. Again, because it's so far south, the weather will be real good, but it won't be hot like it is in summer and even September. So I just would tell you this is a great experience. And I tell you what, it'll be exciting for me to have you tell Jules or me which, after you're done, which was your favorite port? Which did you enjoy most? I personally think if you're into history, Ephesus will be your top. But there's a lot of people that will pick Mykonos or pick Santorini. Some will pick the places like Tinos that you've never heard of. Some will pick Athens, some will pick Istanbul. And you'll all be right. Every single day is an experience that is so unbelievably special and unique. I think through all of this, and I think, my gosh, if you've never done this part of the world, or even if you have, it's worth doing. Put it on your list. There's travel insurance that can help you with the what ifs that are so prevalent right now, the cancel for any reason. But we use vendors like Azamara that we know that if it's not safe to travel for whatever reason, they just won't travel there. Okay. And if they don't travel there, if they cancel the sailing, they'll give you an option of a refund or a future vacation credit. If one of the ports is not safe to travel with for whatever reason, they'll change it with something else. But you want to give them that right to do that. But I will tell you, the Greek islands, Greece has been seeing Americans, are you ready for this, for 18 months. They didn't shut down to Americans like a lot of places did. They had to for a little while, and then they were one of the first that opened back up. So here we are. You give us a call, we're happy to help you no matter what the vacation option is. I know that hosted vacations are going to be very popular. People right now are feeling nervousness, they're anxious, they're concerned about policies and about all sorts of things that are going on. COVID policies, of course, rank #1 on this. What do you have to have? Do you have to be tested before you go? Do you have to be tested daily? Do you have to be tested when you come back? All these things. We'll let you know what the policies are. Okay, that's part of our job to take the worry out of. We keep up on the policies, all the policies that have anything to do with the countries you're going to, the type of vacation you're going on. And by the way, those could very possibly change between now and then. We'll keep you up on the changes, okay, before you go. But we know because of all these changes and the nervousness, the anxiety, hosted trips are going to be very, very, very popular. So we'd invite you. Any one of these that you've heard today, if you're just tuning in, I've done, let's see, 4 of them. We started out with our Tulip Time River Cruise in April in Belgium and Amsterdam. Then we went to my birthday bash in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico over May 30th for any number of days you want to go. We did the Duro River Cruise in Portugal that Jeanette Pringer, her husband Kevin, and then Shane Smead and his wife, Shane's the president of Park University, and I will be hosting. That is in late October of this year on the Duro River. That's an AMA Waterways Duro River Cruise. Then right before the Duro River Cruise, Mimi and I are doing the Gems of Southeast Europe. That is from Budapest to Bucharest in what's called the Lower Danube. And that'll be a neat one too. And by the way, if you want to do what a lot of people are doing right now, they're making up for last year and they're doing back-to-back cruises. So that Gems of Southeast Europe Lower Danube cruise, you can go with me, and I'm going to fly from Bucharest to Lisbon and do them back-to-back if that's of interest to you. And then last but not least, that Azamara, Greek island and Turkey cruise that we're doing October 22nd through the 29th. And then Jules Cook, who is leading that, is doing a 4-day post package in Istanbul. I think she's doing a 1 or 2 night pre-package in Athens too, which we always recommend. So no matter what kind of vacation it is, we look forward to earning your business, and you can be confident in us that we'll have your best interests at heart. We'll make sure you know everything you need to know, from policies to visas to what to take, what kind of tests to take. all of these things, and all these things that will be changing, I'm sure, literally before you travel on any one of these trips. We'll keep you up to date on everything you need to know. Well, we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. We hope you'll consider one of these hosted trips that we're going on. One last trip I wanted to tell you about real quick, and you can go to our website, cruiseholidays.kc.com. My wife Mimi and I are hosting an Antarctica trip that will be an ocean cruise and one of those new, very small luxury expedition ships called Atlas Ocean Voyages. 186 people. We will be doing this February 19th through March 2nd of 2023. So if you've ever wanted to go to Antarctica and land on Antarctica, you should call us. And by the way, on almost every one of these, we have a February 1st deadline before either prices go up or they take group space away from us totally. So I would urge you, if you're interested in anything today, or maybe anything that you didn't, that we didn't talk about that you might want to know about, give us a call. We'll be happy to go over that with you. 816 area code 505-1500, 505-1500, 816 area code 505-1500, or check us out online, cruiseholidays.kc.com, and that's plural, by the way, cruiseholidays.kc.com/groups, and all these hosted trips will be up there for you. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me today. Happy New Year. We look forward to earning your business. Thanks again. Adios.